Welcome, everyone. From wherever you're watching in the world, I'm Ravi Shankar, the editor of Drunken Boat, and I'm very excited that today we're going to be launching our latest issue, issue 26, which features a remarkable panoply of work on the folios of Statelessness, digitally born artists, and the amazing late poet and translator A.K. Ramanujan. The way we will proceed is we'll hear from each of the contributors, and I encourage you to take a look at the issue. Um, let's see if I can bring it up here on your own time, which is a wonderful collaboration with the Electronic Literature Organization. I was hoping someone from the team might be here, but they send their best regards. And I also want to thank Tufts University and our managing editor, Lily Newberry, who's here. I'll introduce you to in a second as well. But when you have time, I encourage you to take a look at the issue. It's a really rich collection of various kinds of work. So without further ado, I'm going to bring everyone here on stage, and I will introduce each of them before they start reading. And this will be archived. Oh, Dana is here. Great. Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you. And I think actually we may start off by kicking it to Dene. It's so great to see you. I know it's very early in the morning where you are, but perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the next and the wonderful collaboration that we did with ELO. But perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the next and the wonderful collaboration that we did with ELO.
Can can you hear me?
Yes. And
Let
if
me
everyone,
stop the YouTube
everyone
for a
could
second.
mute while folks are
Can you hear
speaking,
me?
that would be great. Yes. And
Let
if
me stop the YouTube
everyone could mute while folks are speaking, that would be great. Yes. And if everyone could mute while folks are speaking.
So this is the
Hi,
first time I've
Danae.
used
The floor
StreamYard,
is
so
yours.
please excuse me. So my name is Deanie Grigar, and I'm from the Electronic Literature Lab at Washington State University, Vancouver. And I'm in my office at home right now because it's 7 in the morning. But our lab also has created a museum called The Next. But the lab itself is the organization that helped produce the issue design. And it was designed by two undergraduate students in the program that I direct here at the university. The young women were, their names are Vaughn Miller and Marilyn Gable. And it was led by the senior designer of my lab, Holly Slocum. And so the lab itself does a lot of this kind of commission work, but we also have produced a museum where a lot of Drunken Boat, in fact, we're getting ready to ingest Drunken Boat's material into the next. And so it's exciting to be here today, and I love your work. And one thing I will say, as a curator and a creator myself, is that we wanted the design of the issue to be as fabulous as the art that you have produced. Just as I think about the Guggenheim in Bilbao, which is one of my favorite museums, which is an incredible edifice to hold the beautiful art. We wanted the art of the issue to be likewise. We wanted to create something that helped to facilitate an understanding, to promote it in a way that was effective. And so, thank you for letting me do this, Ravi. And my students really enjoyed producing this work, and they loved the material that they worked with.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Danae. That was such a fabulous collaboration. And if you will notice, each of the elements
And so it's
is
exciting to be here today.
is dynamic and actually is pertinent to the actual folio. And so, for instance, when you look at the statelessness folio, you can see that there are little pins that show geographic locations. We had a completely different format for the digital arts folio and for Ramanujan's folio, which includes wonderful archival work, which we'll hear from Krishna and Guillermo about. I also want to just bring on stage um, Lily Newberry, our managing editor, who was the sole curator, really, of the digitally born folio. She's going to help me today as we introduce people. But Lily, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, I don't have too much to say, but it was a pleasure to help curate this issue. There are so many talented and accomplished artists involved, many of whom are among us today, but everyone should also go take a look at the digitally born folio on the website. The design that Dini and her team have done is beautiful, and yeah, I think these are very pertinent works to be considering at this moment right now. So I'm excited to hear from all the artists that are with us today.
Great. Wonderful. And I also see that we have Emily Tran, our wonderful marketing editor, is here backstage. If she hasn't reached out to you already, she will be to help promote your work, both in Drunken Boat and outside of the magazine. So, all right. So let us get started. And maybe we could begin. Muasir was not here and had to leave early. So, Alina, do you mind kicking
No,
us
I'm
off?
here. Handan is my pen name.
Oh, yes, yes. Muasir is here. So would you like to kick us off, Muasir?
Okay, sure. I can start now, right?
Yes, absolutely. Please feel free to share your screen.
Okay.
Should we do an introduction first?
Oh, yes. Yes,
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. Sorry. Muasir Abdullah Handan is a poet, writer, educator, and editor, native of Gujarat in the north of East Turkestan. She completed a medical degree at Beijing University, master's in the University of Malaya, and she has been focusing on writing and teaching in the Uyghur language. Her debut novel, Farewell to the Sun, is the first work of fiction to focus on the internment camps in East Turkestan. She's also established the organization Ayan Education, whose purpose is to foster the Uyghur language in diaspora communities. And there, in fact, is what sounds like a fascinating magazine written in Uyghur for children called The Four-Leaf Clover, Tokalak. She's taught in-person learning lessons in Istanbul and now funds the Uyghur Online Language School that has more than 20 teachers and has reached over 400 students. She was on the list of the BBC's 100 most important women in 2020. And so it's our great pleasure to have Muasir with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Hi everybody, my name is Muasir Abdullahat from East Turkestan and I currently live in Turkey and I write under the pen name Handan. Today I'm going to read my poem Returning to the Fire. It's in its original language, Uyghur. Before I begin, I would like to briefly explain the background of this poem. As many of you may know, millions of Uyghurs in East Turkestan are suffering in internment camps established by the Chinese Communist Party. I cannot help imagining myself as one of them. The guilt of having escaped and survived is sometimes overwhelming. In 2019, when rumors spread about the death of the folk musician and poet Abdurrahim Haid, a desire to return and suffer alongside my people reawakened within me. It was then that I came to a profound realization, which is being that in one's own homeland is better than being alive with a strangled soul. So, with your permission, I would now like to read the poem and I would like to share the English version for you. Can I? Okay.
Yes, please.
It doesn't allow me to share. Sorry.
Oh. I wonder, is it something that I can share? Let me see. Okay. I'm not sure why you can't share. Let me just see. So this is the original in English translation. And do you want to read it in the original language, Muasir? Sorry for any technical glitches here. There should be a button at the very bottom of the dock with a plus sign on the screen, and you should be able to share. But since we're live, I don't think I can really troubleshoot at the moment. So I'll just kick it back to you.
Green.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Unfortunately not.
It's okay then.
Okay.
Okay. Just read the poem. Otның içige qaytiş. Qaytımen onun yiniga, ularның yiniga. Uxlay almaydı bäri bu gözlerim, her günüm kecha. Eqib ketiwatydy barmaqlarımda yulduzlarım, olturup közümni yumay, memmi onun bilen billa. Qara bassun, qara zindanlarni, mening düşlerim külsün bir chetda. Qollarim bağlansın meyli, yürükim yana bir qitim dağlanmasın. Yüzümge urulsun qamça, boğulalmaz bunundan artıq, kötürelmez ruhimdeki arğamça. Yığılmaң zinhar, öldü dese meni haberler, soğuqdan, açlıqdan, ussuzluqdan, kimlikimning yo'qsuzligidan qutulubdi dang. Yürəkingizdən bir tal taşını elib eting, yeniklang. Yum yığlaşqa öşlükim bilet alıdı. Taram tökülüşdən bizarlığım somkamni tartıdı. İçimni qamallagan musibet, tomurlarımni koyup etip aram tapıdı. Ürümçi degende beşimdeki qapqara halta, kepenlikim anamның mazırığı çapıdı. Nime degen rahat muşundaq ketişmu? Nime degen rahat muşundaq ketişmu? Bir ölmey turup, tayaklarda muratqa yetişmu? Öldü dese meni üçün haberler, ölmediyden vatan tupurqida ölemdi kişi. Öz öyedek çın kucaklap appaq topini, külümsüreştir emdi onun işi. Thank you.
Wonderful. And did you want to read the translation?
If you want, yes.
Oh, sure. That would be lovely.
Just let me. Okay. Returning to the fire. I will return to him, return to them. My eyes can't sleep anyway. I see a night through all my days. Down my fingers, my stars are seeping away. I will sit beside him and close my eyes. Let the dark dungeons have their nightmares. Let my dreams laugh by their side. Never mind, let my hands be tied, as long as it's not my heart being burnt again. Whips, please slash my face. My strangled soul can't take anymore. The news is about to break. Don't cry if you hear the news of my passing. Say the cold, the hunger, the thirst, and the crisis of identity set me free. Cast the stones from your heart, don't give me another thought. It's my hatred for sobbing that will buy the ticket. It's my hatred for weeping that will pull my luggage. It's the mourning which seized my heart that will release my veins and relax my fears. When the black bag over my head shouts Urumqi, it is just my burial shroud running for my mom's tomb. What is to go back like this, with cruelty to grant my wishes before the final death? When you hear the strange news he died, say, he is not dead. How can one die in the soil of one's homeland? His only duty now is to smile, clinging to the bright white earth that has been his home all the while. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And can I ask Mircea, and we'll have some time for Q&A at the end, but if folks
Sure.
are interested in helping the Uyghur community in any way? Is there any outreach that you can recommend? What can folks do?
My focus is now education, so I can't really tell the other sources, but I want all of you to share the news, whatever it is, so that the world can see and hear what is happening there.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. And I put links
thank you.
to the work that we're hearing in the comments field. I encourage everyone to have a look. And I will just briefly mention that, and we will maybe next up have Yahya Labidi read. And really, Yahya is someone I've known for years, and the Statelessness folio was put together in part to the response of what was happening in Palestine. But it raised this notion of stateless people around the world who lack certain fundamental rights. And we thought that illuminating them together kind of enlarges the frame and makes it really a human rights issue that all of us should be deeply invested in. So it's my great pleasure. Lily, do you want to introduce Yahya?
Yes, I would love to. Yahya Labadibi is an Arab-American writer of Palestinian heritage and the author of 12 books of poetry, aphorisms, and essays, including Palestine Whale by Daraja Press and What Remains to be Said. His work has appeared in The New Statesman, Liberties, Salmagundi, The Threepenny Review, Agni, Sojourners, World Literature Today, Dawn, and The New Arab, and has been featured on NPR and PBS NewsHour. He has spoken at Oxford University and at international poetry festivals across the United States, Europe, the Middle East, and South Asia. His writing has been translated into numerous languages. He writes at the intersection of art, spiritual inquiry, and moral witness.
Wonderful. Welcome, Yahya. So great to see you.
Thank you, Ravi and Lily, for that generous introduction and for the reminder that we're one human family and what we're saying resonates naturally despite our different circumstances. So I'm born in Egypt. My father is Lebanese. My grandparents are Palestinian. And I've been thinking about this for years now, about this notion of politics and the way out. And the way out always seems to me that there's no real political revolution without some kind of spiritual evolution. So I'll begin with, I'm going to be reading poetry from Palestine Whale. And I'll begin with a short poem called What to Bring to a War Protest. Bring a candle burning in your eyes to lead the way. Bring a bird nestled in your heart to set others free. Bring a flag, spotless and white, to surrender pain. Bring a shroud large enough to bury the dead past. And I will move from that to another short poem. This was written during the first months of the attack on Gaza. And the title or part of it inspired my current book. I haven't really been able to write poems since publishing this book. I have a companion piece or companion book of prose coming out this October called If You Cannot Say Genocide from New Village Press. So this poem says, if you're uncomfortable saying genocide, say mass murder, say boneyard, say unmarked graves, say pity the children, say humanity under the rubble, say Lord, forgive us for the enormity of our sins. At least say not in my name. I'm waiting to hear from you. Say something. And I have another short poem I can read. This is titled Hope, and I begin the book with this, and I, in many ways, end with it and return to it as difficult as it may be. Hope. Hope's not quite as it seems. It's slimmer than you think, and less steady on its feet. Sometimes it's out of breath, can hardly see ahead, and cries itself to sleep. It may not tell you all this, or the times it cheated death, but if you knew it, you'd know how hope can keep a secret. If there's another minute or two, I could read one more. You tell me. I don't want to monopolize this.
Oh, absolutely. I think Ibrahim is not here, so we have a little more time. So go ahead.
Okay. All right. There was another hopeful poem that I wanted to end on, and this had me thinking largely of the role of artists, and artists as activists, and artists as mystics, and artists as people who can show us the way out of the narrow-hearted mess that we find ourselves in all over the world, really. It's called The Light Keepers. Hope is a lighthouse, or at least a lamppost. Someone must keep vigil to illuminate this possibility. In the dark, a poet will climb narrow, unsteady stairs to gaze past crashing waves and sing to us new horizons. Others, less far-sighted, might be deceived by the encroaching night. Mistake the black for lasting, but not those entrusted with trimming wicks. Their tasks are more pressing, winding clockworks, replenishing oil. There is no time for despair when tending to the light. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Yahya. And tell us again, where can we get your latest book?
So the latest book is going to be published by New Village Press. It's a collection of prose essays, personal, cultural, political. As I said, my grandparents are featured there as a Palestinian story, and it will be distributed by NYU Press. So it's available for pre-order now, wherever you're comfortable pre-ordering books, either from the publisher or bookshop.org or NYU, or even Amazon if you must.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Yahya.
Appreciate it.
Really great to hear you. Those of you that are just joining, welcome. I'm Ravi Shankar. I'm the editor of Drunken Boat. We just published issue 26, which you can see online at drunkenboat.com. And we're featuring some of the very fine artists and writers from the folio. And next, maybe we can have Alina. Alina Kostenko is a Dublin-based Roma poet and a cultural facilitator whose work explores memory, family, and the fine line between myth-making and storytelling. She's a recipient of the Dun Lagor Rathbone Mentorship Grant and showcased her poetry during the One Island, Many Voices program, supported by Dublin UNESCO City of Literature and Linden Hall. Her poetry has been published in the Unapologetic magazine and the Dubeloving anthology. She's a graduate of the Stinging Fly 2025 Summer School for Creative Nonfiction and is actively working on her first poetry collection, which, if the indication from the work in Drunken Boat is, we're all very excited to hear. So welcome, Alina. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I am so honored to hear such good and thoughtful writing in a way, you know. I just to introduce a continuation of my introduction, if you want. I just want to say that I come from one of the largest Roma communities in my country, the Roma community, which is in a way shaped by the very definition of statelessness. You know, we are shaped by migration, and we continue to be both at the present. And I personally have been estranged from my community for over 20 years, and I've spent much of my adult life struggling to pass as non-Roma, traveling in search of a home I could not locate, and writing this prose poem that I'm going to share with you today has been my main way of returning to my history and my connection And like you said, Ravi, it's part of my debut collection, which is in its final stage. So you're the first audience to it. Google Camp Alley number 28, note 5. She was the last angel before I was born. This could be a poem for her. Instead, I mastered concealing. God circled around her slowly, gently separating her from the crowd. Granted her with cherub-like cheeks, olive eyes, a splendid mind, and almost no height. Imagination that made her childhood my childhood. I hardly got to meet her. She became engulfed by voices. Wings of darkness, I called them. They pecked at her reality. Her memory still intact. One night, as she lay on the grass staring at the sky, at the abyss of her loss, as if on the mountain, as if the bush were on fire, as if an angel began its descent. As a first sign, a window cracked, then another. A frog leaped from the doorknob. My mother's inferno thus begun. I am now her age when we first lost our home. Occasionally, I type our old address into Google Maps and walk the streets. The air is still dusty, thick, heavy, sweaty. It's funny how technology and memory can become one. I see the newly asphalted road with trimmed hedges, but when I was growing up, there was only mud. Even the harshest of suns wouldn't dry. We built a house at the very edge of the town, on one side of the junction of two national roads. On the other side, there was this famed camp where irises grew among thistles and where traveling gypsies would set up camps, caravans stopping to rest their horses, dogs tied to the back of the wagons, pots and pans rattling on the sides. They came from up the mountain, colorful, noisy, and wealthy, selling lumber. With time and with a change of regime, they stopped coming, and the field, stretched out into the distance, remained empty. In summer, we'd roam it freely, barefoot, hungry kids, to find this particular type of grass called susai, a delicacy for Dad, leaping all the way up past the former sugar factory, past the now dried little river, and now into our gypsy village where my grandparents lived. I zoomed slightly out of the map to the town sign where we would poke the bee's nest. I climb atop it and stare out into the horizon all the way into the train tracks until my eyes hurt from this much blue. I can still hear the 4 a.m. commuter's train horn. I land into the disparaged meat processing plant across the other side towards the city, which has a large orchard where we can slip through a hole in the fence and steal unripened plums, cherries, or quinces. It's sad how I still quiver at their bitterness. I turn a little bit back to where we spread our blankets and read our future in coffee grinds and rub our faces with cucumber peels to whiten our skin, to where Mom planted tomatoes. I see Dad tinkering on the roof, the neighbor with the cow who stops by for coffee, the one that cooks all day and comes by to share, the one who brings us big juicy grapes from the farm. My dollhouse. At the junction, someone built a tire repair shop, then a car wash, a hotel, and a restaurant. I grew up alongside them in that wilderness. It took a long while until we got electricity and running water. When we lost the first house, the hotel owner knocked it down to make space for a parking lot, and we built another just up the road, a provisory one, number 5. That's when the signs started appearing. Today, I ran out of the library. A poet made me cry, a woman hugged me, another woman stared deeply into my soul. A man replied, one answered the phone, another wrote hi. A train came on time, I got in, no delays, no mistakes. A bird landed on my balcony and stayed and kept me company. A big task was crossed off my list. I joined in the dance happening around me. I've never been nostalgic about home, nearly never remember it fondly. For years, all I could conjure up when the word came was mud, darkness, hunger, fear, and hate. My doctors said to paint a blue butterfly, a minotaur, a white feather, a healing hand, a warrior sword, a miner's hat, canary, a cave of wonders. To write a letter to my home. My fault in my exile was established. My voice is starting to take shape. My voice is the voice of a magpie. I met my friend for a coffee. I called my oldest friend. I called my sister. I'm happy. And I have nobody to share it with. I'm lucky to align my stars, but nobody to thank. So Google, find my home so I can sit under our acacia tree to tell mom about this Irish poet lady and how I heard her read her poem about her mom and how it absolutely broke me. And I ran out of the library, and then this woman hugged me and another pierced my soul about the man who finally replied. I tell her that my life is like a summer's day reading our fortune in the acacia shade. It's slowly coming true. I tell her that occasionally I too feel separated from the crowd, with signs creeping up on me too. Maybe, just maybe, it will work itself out as long as I keep moving forward. As long as I remember Camp Alley, I suppose too. Matra Shamam. I hear the leaves whispering, just like my mom told me before I was born. Before my house grew wings, I mean. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So powerful. Thank you, Alina. And the links to all of the work are in the comments field. And again, we encourage you to explore. Those of you that are just joining us, I am Ravi Shankar. We are launching the 26th issue of Drunken Boat. And next up, actually, keeping the Roma community, we have Amaya. Lily, you want to introduce Amaya?
Yes, absolutely. And really quickly, I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that on the in many of the pages for each work, there will be like an audio recording that you can go listen to if you'd like to hear these works again. But yes, Amaya, one second. Okay. Amaya Gabanto is a writer and prolific translator of Basque literature, as well as a flamenco singer and, more recently, a soundscape artist and sound therapist. She studied literature and translation in Ireland and the UK, and has taught literature, languages, and creative writing at several universities in the UK and also in the USA. She now lives in the Basque Country by the sea, where she continues to write, sing, and weave sounds. That is such a cool combination of form.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, thank you so much for having my work in this special issue. I have to say that I am very grateful to be able to present to you all of my different sides, because usually whenever I've been able to present my work, it's been like either I am writing or I've written an essay or anything that has been published, or something that I have translated, and those are in literary journals, magazines, whatever. And then the music that I make is being in completely separate contexts. So this is the first time that I am allowed to create this sort of hybrid madness that I love to create. So thank you, Ravi, for letting me put this piece together. I'd like to say yes, that I have translated Basque literature, a lot of it. Most of what is out there in English has been translated by me. And in the Basque country, in fishing villages like mine, we tend to be a very mixed bunch. The village that I come from, Bermeo, it used to be in medieval times the most important city, really. It was a city at the time. So it was the Bilbao of the time. Bilbao is only half an hour from here, Dana. So I was very happy to hear that reference to the Guggenheim. And so in fishing villages, our relationship with death is very close, because lots of fishing people die at sea. And in 1912, there was a huge gale storm in this village where most of the grown men of the town died. And after that, a lot of boys were imported from all the orphanages all over Spain. And one of them was my great-grandfather, who was a Roma boy, who was adopted as a 14-year-old, I think, by our family. Well, then he became our great-grandfather, so he's our family. So my love of flamenco, I think it's, I always felt that it was something that was inside of me, that was in the blood. So even though I am very hesitant to represent the Roma in this issue, there's also something very sweet and wonderful about having this space. So again, thank you. I'm going to read a little bit from the piece that I presented, and then I'm going to sing a bit of a song. Okay? Right. Note 1. How not to be a literary translator. Perhaps, first of all, don't translate out of your mother tongue into your third language. Then ensure that your mother tongue has a literary tradition rich enough for you to draw from, so that you can be gainfully employed for the foreseeable future. Finally, and having irredeemably ignored both of the above points to the determinant of your pecuniary status, consider that flamenco singing is not a wise career choice to supplement the meager earnings provided by translating Basque literature into English. While not mutually exclusive, the combination of this unlikely union embodies a conceptual anachronism that makes for a hard life. And yet, we can only be who we are called to be. Note 2, on flamenco. Flamenco is the most beautiful music in the world. Nothing does what flamenco does. Flamenco is the strongest life force. Flamenco is wisdom, philosophy, meditation, a means to find a place in the world. Flamenco beats map every emotion, and each beat unfurls that emotion with precision and resolution to pin it, to resolve it. Flamenco has considered everything, has an answer to every question and a question to every answer. Flamenco lyrics exist in a universe of galaxies, and each galaxy is a couplet, a verse, a line, with a star at its core, a truth. And flamenco singers wave chains of galaxies that they throw back into that universe of lyrics. They may even throw some of their own lyrics into that universe for other singers to sing down the line. Because as an old flamenco said, el flamenco es de todos. Sino means fate in Caló, the language of the Romani of Spain. Flamenco is sino. If it chooses you, all you can do is surrender. Here. Note 3. On other points of convergence between Euskara and Caló. It's not just the adventurous spirit, musicianship, and statelessness that binds the Basque and the Romani people. Few people know of the existence of a Romintzela, the Basque Caló language, spoken in the French and Spanish sides of the Basque country by Basque Romani people since the 15th century, and is still used today by around 1,000 speakers. Yet another gravely endangered language at risk of extinction. Why must all of the best aspects of existence become endangered? Honeybees, beluga whales. I mention them because they sing beautiful songs too, like the Basques and the Romani. Why do humans keep choosing to embrace crap while erasing wondrous things? Anyway, I read that little bit of an extract from the piece that I wrote. I hope that you will take a look at it. And I'm going to sing a song that is in origin a flamenco song that was gathered by Federico García Lorca. And the reason I choose this, the reason why I choose to bring Lorca into this is because, as you well know, Lorca was murdered during the what is wrongly called the Spanish Civil War. It was a coup d'etat, so there was no war. And his body is still missing. And I think that Lorca was somebody who, in his way, and through culture and through the power of art, brought a really big light onto the art of the Romani people of Spain. So I want to honor his spirit here and sing un poquito de zorongo gitano. Tengo los ojos azules, tengo los ojos azules y la cabellera igual que la cresta de la lumbre. La luna es un pozo chico, las flores no valen nada. Lo que valen son tus brazos cuando de noche me abrazan. Lo que valen son tus brazos cuando de noche me abrazan. Esta muchacha está loca, esta muchacha está loca, que lo que sueña de noche quiere que sea verdad. La luna es un pozo chico, las flores no valen nada. Lo que valen son tus brazos cuando de noche me abrazan.
Bravo. That was really beautiful. Thank you so much.
I hope I didn't go wildly over time.
No, it was wonderful.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Wonderful. That is Amaya. And you can again see her work online, the hybrid madness, as she described at the latest issue of Drunken Boat. And now I'm very excited to transition to another part of the folio. And the wonderful thing is the resonances that we heard across all of the different work. But it was my great pleasure as a board member of the Indo-American Arts Council to meet Guillermo Rodriguez and Krishna Ramanujan a few years ago, which initiated this conversation that has resulted in I think, a really extraordinary folio. And so I want to first bring Guillermo Rodriguez Martin on stage. He's the founding director of Casa de la India, which is a pioneering Indian cultural center in Spain. I actually had the great fortune of recently visiting, and it's a wonderful space that you should go to. It's a model for India's cultural diplomacy abroad. Guillermo is a multidisciplinary scholar, author, translator, and cultural producer, and has to his credit 26 publications on Indian English literature, Indian aesthetics, bhakti, Indian performing arts, and literary criticism. He held the post of Indian Studies Coordinator of the Center for Asian Studies at the University of Valladolid in Spain, and obtained his PhD from the University of Kerala in India. He was awarded the Friendship Award by the Indian Ministry of External Affairs for his contribution to Indo-Spanish cultural reflections, and a book that I really recommend, When Mirrors Are Windows, a view of A.K. Ramanujan's poetics, which may have set the framework and the skeleton of the wonderful archival material that we see in the current issue of Drunken Boat, was published in 2016. It's really the landmark book on the Indian poet, scholar, and translator that we learned so much about. He's also the co-editor with Krishna, who's also here, Krishna Ramanujan, of Journeys, A Poet's Diary, A.K. Ramanujan, and Soma poems, some later poems that were discovered. So it's my great pleasure. Thank you so much for being here with us, Guillermo. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Ravi. And first of all, congratulations to you and the entire team for putting together this marvelous issue. I didn't know about this magazine, but I can really, see now that there's a lot of creativity involved. It's a work of art, so congratulations. Coming to the topic, as you said, I've been involved with A.K. Ramanujan's work, I would say, for the last 30 years, since my time as a PhD scholar in Kerala. And after publishing my PhD, it became a book in a different format, published by Oxford University Press. And then I was very lucky to connect with Krishna, who will join me later, Ramanujan's son, and co-edit 2 other books. And I would like to first give a little bit of context and introduce this author. A lot of scholars in the 20th century recognized A.K. Ramanujan as a genius and as one of the 20th century most important Indian scholars. Why so? In fact, Girish Karnad, in the introduction and in one of the texts that you are introducing in the electronic magazine, does mention that he has influenced a whole generation of poets, folklore anthropologists, translators, scholars, essayists. He used to consider him the hyphen in Indo-American studies. The period we're looking at is he was born in 1929, passed away rather early in 1993 in Chicago. He was attached to University of Chicago and several other universities. He's a multidisciplinary scholar. He's known, interestingly, in the West, probably in America and in the Anglo-Saxon world, more as a translator and a scholar of essays, due to his work in promoting Dravidian studies, that is the South Indian languages. He worked mainly as a teacher of in South Indian literatures, the oral traditions also. I'm talking about Tamil, mainly, also Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam, Dravidian languages, as you know, are very ancient traditions, and they were not very well known in the 1960s when he arrived on the scene, where Sanskrit and the traditional Indology was more devoted to the classical forms. So he introduced the subaltern perspective. As a structuralist, he looked at a whole new paradigm and brought in a lot of new terminology also to look at Indian literatures, bringing in and enlightening the scholars and a lot of students about so many other traditions, be they oral traditions, women's tales, folk tales. He collected from his very young age a lot of folk tales which came out as folk tales from India, and a few other collections of Kannada folk tales, as well as literatures of the Bhakti tradition, the traditional mystic lore, and the very important traditions of the Sangam literature in Tamil, which is the classical Tamil literature. And in the Bhakti forms, he was mainly devoted to translating the Alvar tradition in Tamil as well, from 7th to 9th, 10th century, and the Vachanas from Karnataka, which are a little later. So why is this important? The way he translated, and he used to say he translated the reader, he brought in always the context of the target audience. So if you read his translations of these medieval poems, and I'll read one of them, they sound very fresh, they sound contemporary. He brought in the modern idiom so that we could understand. He was a modernist in his own poetry that he worked on from the early 1950s. Of course, for some it may be sounding too modernist, but by doing so, he was able to transport the ethos of those poems, which were revolutionary in their own way, because Bhakti means devotional poetry, and there was a lot of revolutionary content in the way those mystics moved and the way they transformed also societies. So this is a brief introduction. We should not forget he was a scholar, a translator, but most importantly, and he's known in India very much so, he's part of the actual syllabus. When you study Indian English literature, he was known as a modernist poet, though he has, of course, some of his late poetry is also quite, rather, I would say, postmodernist. He's not difficult, not easy to pin down. He's got quite a lot of influences. You will see, of course, the English and American images are very much there, but a lot of the influence that comes also from the Alvar tradition, the mystic poems from the Tamil period of 8th, 9th, and 10th century. So I'll read a few lines from his diaries first. This is from a text that we've published in Journeys, a book that is kind of a compendium, a selection of texts that he wrote down in his notebooks. He kept diaries from a young age, and we have been editing this for Journeys, a Poet's Diary, 2019. And the reason I've chosen this extract is because a lot of his diaries are concerned with where inspiration comes from. Where do poets get their motives, the imagination to write poetry? And this is something he kind of envied when he looked at the mystic poets who got immersed. Alvar means immersion into a kind of trance or a possession. So there's something to be said about his aesthetics. It's very much connected to the Indian tradition of mystics. And let me just read a piece here, which he wrote in 1976, October 30th, from his diary, when he was translating those Alvar poets of the Tamil mystic tradition. I'll read the short paragraph, which is followed by a translation combined with one of his own modernist poets, because he does a lot of grafting. He grafts his own poems sometimes in his notebooks along with the translations. Sometimes it's even difficult to tell whether it's a translation or his own poem. And we will see that this was probably one of the first Soma poems that he scribbled next to the diary entry. And this is his voice now. I'll read from A.K. Ramanujan's diaries. October 30th, 1976. The poems, too, when they come, surprise me. I feel a poem has chosen me, not me the poem. And this is not being mystical. I have the feeling about thoughts, ideas, events, persons, the same feeling. Maybe a certain passivity, a need to say, I didn't work for it. I'm not responsible in my nature. For years, I took the Buddhist slogan, take nothing that's not given literally, except I reversed it to take everything that's given or say no to nothing, which landed me in dreadful dilemmas with food and women. Poetry happens unbidden and has to protect itself. The psychedelic experience taps precisely such experiences, but the junkies see it as a separate state and not as an interruption of the ordinary. Perhaps that is what grace is all about. And this is where the ironic distance comes in. My point is, you can't seek such a state, you can't organize it or take a pill for it. In my Soma poems, for instance, the extraordinary occurs in a most ordinary fashion. Something like the way a poem happens. It's a mystery, but mystery itself is ordinary. Only we make of it something miraculous. Jazz poem for Soma. Soma, no mimic similar, has no similitude, grows ordinary as mystery, ancient familiar, the always here. Soma is the same as you and you and you. When you make the right mistake and fight your best attitude. So poets, beware. This is very interesting, this piece, because the last line, so poets, beware, is actually the way a poem begins by Namalvar, one of the most famous mystic poets of the Alva tradition, which I will now read, and this will be the last piece I'm reading before Krishna takes the floor. I'll read this translation, which is quite a famous translation that was grafted into his own Soma poem. The Namalvar poem goes like this. It's a poem about possession and the way the poet gets possessed by the divine or by the muse. Poets, beware, your life is in danger. The Lord of Gardens is a thief, a cheat, master of illusions. He came to me, a wizard with words, sneaked into my body, my breath, with bystanders looking on but seeing nothing. He consumed me, life and limb, and filled me, made me over into himself. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Guillermo. And as I mentioned, you can see a number of artifacts, some of the jottings he had on index cards, a wonderful interview with Studs Terkel and A.K. Ramanujan, a number of other archival materials in the issue. And it is my great pleasure to introduce our final reader. And Lily, do you want to introduce Krishna, who is actually the son of the great A.K. Ramanujan, who we just spoke with, and it's thanks to his estate and his curation along with Guillermo that we have this wonderful wealth of material. So go ahead, Lily.
I do not have a bio ready for Krishna if you have one of those.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Here I have. Okay. And Krishna Ramanujan is a science writer at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, but coupled with a lifelong literary interest. He's worked as a writer for Earthwatch Radio, for NASA and Cornell. He's published more than 2,000 news stories on topics related to climate change, sustainability, ecology, biology, genetics, agriculture, and human and veterinary medicine. And as mentioned, he edited with Guillermo Journeys, Poet's Diary, which we heard a little excerpt from, and Soma, poems by A.K. Ramanujan. So in the field of writing, but a very different kind of writer than his father. Thank you so much for being with us, Krishna, and for all that you contributed to the issue.
Thank you so much. Thanks to Ravi and to Lily for making this happen, all of this. And thank you, Guillermo. I'll just say quickly, you know, my father had so many interests. And my grandfather apparently went into my dad's room when my father was a teenager and looked at his bookshelf and called him intellectually promiscuous, which is apt for him because he was interested in so many things at quite a deep level. But I would say his first love and lifelong love was really poetry. And he engaged with poetry all the time. So I will read from I'll read 3 poems if we have time, from his first collection, The Striders, from 1966 it was published. This one is called The Striders. And search for certain thin-stemmed, bubble-eyed water bugs. See them perch on dry capillary legs, weightless on the ripple skin of a stream. No, not only prophets walk on water. This bug sits on a landslide of lights and drowns eye deep into its tiny strip of sky. The next poem, also from Striders, is a poem that Guillermo and I traveled, and I would read this poem during some of our presentations, and it takes on a kind of new multi-generational reading when I speak it. So this is Self-Portrait. I resemble everyone but myself, and sometimes see in shop windows, despite the well-known laws of optics, the portrait of a stranger, date unknown, often signed in a corner by my father. This next poem, also from the same collection, Striders, is called A River. I've always liked this one. In Madurai, city of temples and poets who sang of cities and temples, every summer a river dries to a trickle in the sand, bearing the sand ribs, straw and women's hair clogging the water gates at the rusty bars, under the bridges with patches of repair all over them. The wet stones glistening like sleepy crocodiles. The dry ones shaven water buffaloes lounging in the sun. The poet sang only of floods. He was there for a day when they had the floods. People everywhere talked of the inches rising, of the precise number of cobble steps run over by the water, rising on the bathing places, and the way it carried off 3 village houses, 1 pregnant woman, and a couple of cows named Gopi and Brinda, as usual. The new poets still quoted the old poets, but no one spoke in verse of the pregnant woman drowned, with perhaps twins in her, kicking at blank walls, even before birth. He said, the river has water enough to be poetic about only once a year, and then it carries away in the first half hour, 3 village houses, a couple of cows named Gopi and Brinda, and 1 pregnant woman expecting identical twins with no moles on their bodies, with different colored diapers to tell them apart. I will read one more poem that I would say harkens back to what Guillermo was saying about the Soma poems, this collection he had that Guillermo brought forward that he and I edited the collection with some essays. And this was published posthumously in 1995, but it contains that same quality of the, as Guillermo said, the extraordinary seen in the ordinary, and something surprising happening in this kind of in an ordinary moment. This is The Black Hen. It was published posthumously in 1995. The Black Hen. It must come as leaves to a tree or not at all. Yet it comes sometimes as the black hen with the red round eye, on the embroidery stitch by stitch dropped and found again. And when it's all there, the black hen stares with its round red eye, and you're afraid. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Wonderful. And I'm going to bring everyone here on stage. It was great to see you. A couple of folks had to leave. But what a wonderful issue. And of course, when you explore the issue, you'll also see some of the digital work that we couldn't feature here, as well as a wealth of other stuff, short films, digital animations, visual art, some song, as we got from Amaya. So thank you all. Again, I'm Ravi Shankar. This was the Drunken Boat 26 launch. And there's a little tradition before we exit today. I thought we could just go around and have everyone leave us with some parting bit of wisdom, whatever it is that you're thinking about, whatever might be on your mind. I, of course, encourage you to explore the latest issue of Drunken Boat. And in the Statelessness folio, and I'll just give a plug to this book by Mira Siegelberg that Harvard University Press allowed us to publish the introduction of Statelessness, A Modern History. And I just feel like in this time where it's so easy to feel kind of depressed and overwhelmed by the direction of the world, these kinds of voices are really important, and to think of the situation of all humans, because ultimately I think if the nation state survives, the human species might not. So that we share this planet together, and I think that the work in the Statelessness folio, Ramanujan's work, and some of the digitally born work all speak in a very profound way to that. So thank you so much. And I'll maybe, we'll just popcorn over. Maybe I will kick it to Lily next. If there's anything, I know you just did some traveling. What are you reading? What are you thinking about? And then feel free to just popcorn it over to somebody else.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll try to think of a good answer in the few seconds I've had. Well, right now I'm reading Season of Migration to the North. I forget the author's name, but it's like an Arabic novel in translation, and it's really, really good so far. What am I thinking about? Well, this is what's on my mind, and especially after curating this digitally born folio and meeting with Dini and Holly a number of times. But I think, I don't know, I think it's valuable for us to apply archival efforts to the things that we see and create and consume online, because I think working with the ELO has made me realize how precarious many of those forms are, and how, like, if the technology they rely on becomes obsolete, then like just all of this work and knowledge production is just gone, which is a very scary thought to me. Yeah, and so I don't exactly know how you guys would implement that in your lives, maybe by a hard drive, but yeah, digital archiveship.
Awesome. And you want to popcorn it to someone else? And I've just put in the chat a link to the next. And thanks again to the ELO for their collaboration and for their design. They're dedicated. And we're really if you think of Gutenberg and the printing press, really in the early stages of what digital expression is bound to be. And so I think the seminal early work, it's really important to archive it. And in Drunken Boat over the years, we're founded in 1999. We published work in Flash and Shockwave and these obsolescent forms of media. And now with the help of PLO, they're using things like Ruffle to help restore some of this work. So maybe Yahya, you want to go next? Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
First of all, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you all for singing and reminding us of what is beautiful and inextinguishable, really. What am I thinking about? I'm reading a lot of literature to do with Palestine. I'm educating myself. I'm also reading people like Beinart, who are former Zionists who are awakening to how they've been programmed and what their allegiances, their higher allegiances are to humanity at large, beyond the clan, the tribe. And there are difficult days, weeks, months, but I keep returning to this. There was a slogan in the Egyptian Revolution, and it was something along the lines of despair is betrayal, and we are entrusted with hope. That is what we have to guard. And so if there's something I have to share with myself first and with you afterwards, it's this idea of, amidst all of this chaos, to still praise what is indestructible. And I think I heard some of that today. And I think we know this deep down, not to be deceived by this passing, this what the French call mauvais quart d'heure, this horrible quarter of an hour. This too shall pass, kind of thing. I hope.
Thank you, Yahya. And I think Alina has to go. I don't know if you have a second, Alina, before you jump out.
I do. I have kids coming from school and all that, but I'm so grateful to have been included. It really feels like I'm witnessing history from the front lines, and it's an incredible honor to even call myself a poet at this time we live in. I think we, in a way, like you were saying, Yahya, we lead the way, and I can only hope that I can bring some sort of light in the life of my people and in the life of your people as well, if you want, or in the life of all of us. But yeah, the work we're doing, it's important, and I hope it stays as a testimony. And as my sons are witnessing me doing this, I hope it serves them as an example for the next generation. So thank you all for the work you do and for the lives you lead. Thank you, Ravi, for the opportunity.
Wonderful. Great to see you, Alina.
Enjoy the summer, and we'll see you soon.
Yes. All right. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Krishna.
Thank you so much. I'm reading a novel right now by Rachel Kushner, who I like very much, called The Mars Room. But I think the thing on my mind lately is I moved recently, and I'm planting a large garden. And I put some plants in the other day, and it was very hot, and they all wilted. And then it rained for 2 days, and they all came out of the dead. So it's beautiful. I love watching the garden and the phases it has of being very vulnerable to these very lush plants. But I just say, in this time with, I liked your little tagline. It's not up here now, but with all the lack of humanity in the world, and also the technology, the expansion of technology, furthermore into a lack of humanity, I think it's important for us all to remember the human in us and our human connections and the little moments that mean something more. So that's all I'll have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. Amaya?
Yeah, I really liked what you say, Yahya, about the indestructible and the inextinguishable, because that's where my mind is at as well lately. You know, after one lifetime spent in academia and the frustrations that I experienced as an Indigenous person trying to put forward an Indigenous project within that context, and my decision in more recent years to extricate myself from that world and try to approach this whole wonder, you know, of wisdom and knowledge from a different perspective. I have come to this place where I think that, you know, we sung and we told each other stories for much longer than we have been writing them and publishing them either in books or online or anything else. So if it comes down to it and the internet dies, here's hoping. No. We will still have the song, we will still have each other, we will still have the stories that we tell each other. And I think that this is something really important to remember. I have, you know, because I've developed into this sound therapist also, this whole notion that we are not listening. You know, the world is not listening, and and a lot more listening needs to be happening. Profound listening. And I think that what is beautiful about this issue is that it allows us to look at this subject from multiple perspectives. We're not just reading stories, we're hearing them, we're looking at art, you know, and this issue of survival, persisting, insisting, you know, refusing to die, refusing to be extinguished, enduring, you know, having it in one place from all these different perspectives. I think it's extremely powerful. So I'm very grateful. I'm very proud to be a part of it. So thank you, Ravi, for putting this together. It's really great.
Absolutely.
And thank you everybody for your work. I've really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to reading your dad's work, Krishna, because he sounds like a man after my own heart, a mad hybridizer of everything. Here's to that.
Absolutely. Guillermo?
Yeah. Hi. I also wanted to congratulate the co-panelists, the poets and creative minds that have performed in this session. I think I would like to highlight the kind of work that you're doing, Ravi Shankar, which connects very much with what we're doing and a lot of you are doing. One aspect of it is the bridge building, you know, the connectivity between all these small islands. And for those of you who do not know what Casa de la India is, it's a cultural foundation in Spain dedicated to promoting Indo-Spanish connections. It's a public-private enterprise. So what we've been doing the last 30 years is trying to bring Spain and India closer through the arts, through the voices, through literature, performing arts, the visual arts as well. And right now, I don't even have time to read because I'm in Granada. We are performing in 3 days a huge production of dance drama opera with 100 artists dedicated to the other Ravi Shankar, the sitar player, your namesake, who used music as a tool to transform society, to bring people together. He was the, you know, ambassador of Indian music everywhere, and the whole play that we've produced is about the idea of music binding us together. And in this show, we have 70 musicians from the Granada Symphony Orchestra, 20 musicians from India, and flamenco artists. So this is just an example of, it's going to be in the Alhambra on 26th. So this is another journey connecting through the arts. I think we don't have to, we don't have to give up and think in this pessimistic times that we have nothing to do, nothing to say. I think we are activists. I believe we are agents. We should believe in the power of words, of art, and we shouldn't keep silent. We should create, continue creating in our own space. Or I have the privilege to bring artists together because I managed to get the funding, but everybody can do it in their own spaces. And the other notion I'd like to highlight is something that has been very much mentioned here, and that is the nomadic aspect, the flux of things, which is another idea that Ramanujan believed in. He believed in these connections and the bridge building as a translator, but the idea of this, the moving versus the stagnant, the fact that artists don't have a place, they have an identity. You can have multiple identities, but you can move the oral tradition, the ancient, the before the written, that which remains. And I end by this beautiful phrase that I didn't have the time to read, which is one of my favorite translations from Ramanujan, which belongs to Basavana, very famous poet. And this line says, the standing, things standing shall fall, but the moving ever shall stay.
So true.
And this is 12th century.
Yes, so I think that's a perfect place. I did put Emily on screen. I don't know if you want to say anything, Emily. This is our intrepid marketing editor. Maybe not. You want to stay off camera, that's fine. But yes, as I mentioned, she will continue to promote this issue. And I want to thank all of you so much for being here and for sharing your work. It was a really illuminating morning. And I hope all of you out there will take some time to discover these artists' work and explore the latest issue of Drunken Boat. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Privileged to be part of this. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And this will be archived on YouTube. So, all right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Aur.